All right, so I think it's time to start. I'm Rodrigo, and this is Teles. Unfortunately, the other presenter couldn't come to Sydney, so we'll be just of the two of us here. This is also supposed to be a panel, so since we are only the two of them here, we are going to make like more a conversation. So if you want to come closer to us and so we can like really have a talk here, it's fine. So yeah, basically that. All right, so what do we want to cover here? First thing is talk about us, like our history as mentees and mentors. Then we are going to tell a bit of what we think that makes a good mentor. We are going to also talk about the different mentorship programs that we have in OpenStack. We have several of them, and like online, offline, etc. So we have plenty of opportunity of mentor people here. And also about project examples that we mentored in the past, and we've been seeing people mentoring. So that's basically what we're going to cover. And in the end, we have separated a really big space so we can chat with each other and maybe trade some experience. So who are we, right? So Raildo, who is not here, he has 4 years already of experience in OpenStack. So like if you think in OpenStack life, it has only 7 years, and having 4 in them already working in the product is like lots of time. Rodrigo is me. Rodrigo Diaz is my RLC handle. I'm a Keystone core contributor, and I'm also the QA liaison for Keystone. So unfortunately, as of today, I don't work anymore with OpenStack as my full-time job, but I try to keep contributing and also as well mentoring people. And Teles, can you tell me about yourself?
Yep. Currently, I'm the Sahara PTL, and I've been a core reviewer on Sahara for 3 cycles. I have also a little bit of experience with some other projects on OpenStack. I started working on Keystone, did a little bit work on Nova as well, but my main focus has been on Sahara for, I don't know, maybe 3 years, 4 years or something.
Lots of years.
Yeah, lots of years for now, yeah. And something that we'd like to tell you is, like, even though Rodrigo is a core reviewer, I am actually a PTL of Sahara now. We had to start somewhere in this community. And like, we started just like this. Like, we're born leaders. When I started, I was like I already knew everything that I had to know. There was like no learning curve. It was very easy to get started on OpenStack. There's almost no work at all. It's very, very easy. And I'm also a liar, because that's not what happens at all. There's a lot of pain getting started on OpenStack nowadays. There's a lot of work going on with the community to make it easier. But we would like to explain a little bit of the points that we felt was very hard for us in the beginning. You know, when you start working on OpenStack, there's a lot of accounts to set up, and that right there is a very frustrating, because you have to have a Launchpad account, you have to have a Carrot account, gotta have a Git account, you've gotta exchange SSH keys, and you gotta prepare all the environment to start working. When you actually get to work, it's very hard for people to understand the importance of reviews on OpenStack. For us, we had a project way back when we started on OpenStack, and we would do a lot of work, and every day we'd be asking, like, please review our work, please review our work. And we didn't understand what that meant for a lot of people. And then one time someone came up to us like, if you want us to review your work, please review other people's work as well, because that helps the community. And that we didn't understand that at all in the beginning. That's very hard for people to get into this flowing work of OpenStack. Now there's another point that's very hard. It's like, who do I ask for help? Like, even though the OpenStack community is very open, newcomers are pretty much afraid to ask people what they want to know. For example, you may feel like that you know less than other people by asking that, and people knowing right away. But that doesn't make you dumb or anything. That's just because they have a lot more experience on that work than you do. So it's very hard to know who to ask for help. And like one example I had, like I spent, I don't know, maybe 3 months on Sahara meetings on the beginning of my work, when I would just be like sitting there on my computer, reading what everybody was writing and feeling like I need to say something, but I didn't know where. So it's like, I don't know if I'm good enough to say something right here. Am I gonna be like being in the way of what they're saying? So that was very hard for me to get a grasp on how do I start? How do I communicate with the community? And like what to do? What do we do in the beginning? Do we work on bugs? Do we work on features? Do we know what the project needs? And like, do I know enough to fix the bugs? And it's very complicated.
Yeah, exactly. Besides that, there is people that is new to open source in general. Like, I never worked with software. I never worked with open source. There is people that doesn't know like Python or Bash or whatever that they are trying to put their hands on the project. There is people that doesn't know Git. I think that I still don't know.
Yeah,
I still don't
Git
know.
is like a huge thing.
And Garrett and so forth. So since we all started as newcomers in the community, we all had mentors. We had like this, we wanted to propose this talk in order to like spread the mentorship effort among the other OpenStack peers in the community. So we really think it's important to have this kind of people in the community. So why should we become a mentor, right? So like the first thing is I did in OpenStack was this bug that I fixed on Horizon Keystone. The bug was something like related to whenever we clicked in the list of users page, it took like a minute to load if you had like 1,000 users. And it was really, really interesting to me, like to find out why it was happening. And thanks to Steve Martinelli, which was a former ex-PTL in Keystone, he helped me a lot in this first patch and fixing this bug. I was able to like comment in the bug. He told me that my idea made sense and like teached me to how like to write the first patch, how to send the review, etc. And it was really, really, really important to me in the beginning.
Yeah, also on my case was a little bit different. It wasn't a patch that I was mentored on. It was more of a career and how to grow into the project. I was already working on Sahara, and I had already worked on other projects, but then I got in touch with Elise Gafford, and she helped me get a real grasp of directing myself into the project. And that helped me a lot, because I was kind of trying to work with a lot of separate stuff and never made an impact on the project. But after I got in touch with her, and she gave me a lot of tips on how to focus myself on what I want to do and where I want to go. And that helped me a lot to go from someone that was just contributing to a project to now being a PTL of that same project that I was working.
Right, so in my example, I don't work with OpenStack anymore. I'm paid to do something else right now. But I'm gonna let my knowledge die with me. Like, I need to spread it, right? Because if I'm not there, who is gonna do what I used to do, right? And besides that, there is the updates and new stuff that is going on in the area that I had knowledge in, and it's really important to keep update myself, for example.
And it's also very important to recycle the community. OpenStack needs to go on, even if you're not there anymore. And it's very important to bring new people that are going to be able to lead the project after lots of people have gone out. We saw this phenomenon happen, I don't know, maybe 6 months to 1 year ago.
Yeah, for example, the Keystone team right now has only, I think, 4 core reviewers that are really active. So some time ago, it had like 15.
Yeah. This phenomenon happened throughout all OpenStack projects, and if you can talk with anyone, they're going to say that their teams are a lot smaller than they used to be. And it helps if people who are there, like I know a lot of stuff about that project. Can I make it happen by myself, or should I help a lot of other people learn that project so they can help me out, make the project go on? That's the kind of thing that mentoring is about. Spreading the knowledge so we can recycle the community, making new leaders, making people make the OpenStack go on when they're not there anymore. And also something very important is learning soft skills, learning skills that you might not even know you had. Something like giving a feedback, evaluating progress of people, receiving feedback, because mentors grow when you're mentoring people. So it's very important to learn this kind of skills, learning how to manage a project. Before I was a mentor on OpenStack, I have never designed an implementation for someone else, and that was quite a cool experience to design that, pass it on to someone else, see the work happening, and kind of managing that all the way through completion. So it's very interesting to see that and learn how to manage, and you get better every time. It's not something you're going to do perfect on the first time, but you can improve every time that you go. And I truly believe that we motivated you guys to be a mentor for the next cycle on OpenStack. And here are some points that we find very important on how to be a great mentor. Yeah, there isn't a science for that. There is no way to be a good mentor. There's something that it's going to vary from mentor to mentee and from the personal relationship that you're going to have with that person. So there isn't a way to be a good mentor. But there are some things that we believe are very important on every scenario. And one of those stuffs is...
So, as Tali said, one of the things that we think that is important, first thing, or actually, when I started in OpenStack, the people sent to me this list of bugs, like low-hanging fruit bugs, that and said, find one and fix it. But at least for me, it didn't work very well. And when we try to do that with new people that comes into the community, we also see that these people never come back because they didn't find anything interesting, or they got somehow impressed with this list. I don't know.
It's not very friendly to welcome someone with a list of tasks to do that they might not even know what it's about.
Yeah, so we think that it's important for you to share responsibility. So maybe you have a bigger task and you can give a tiny piece of it to this person, and this person can work with you. You can teach the differences in the modules, how they communicate with other OpenStack services and so forth.
Yep.
So what is the engagement model like? You used to be having only email conversations, or you have to have some video conferencing, or you were only within your availability zone, or the country you belong, or you talk to various people?
That is actually up to the mentor and mentee relationship. They can schedule what they want to do. For example, when I started the last mentoring cycle, I did a video. It was not a video, but it was a talk, and we talked for about an hour of what are we going to do, what the project is, what needs to be done, and we kind of covered everything. And that was the only time that we actually talked with a phone call. After that, there was only mail and IRC and everything, because the person that was working did a great job, and I didn't feel that I needed to take 1 hour of her time just to listen to or talk to her. And it was very easy on emails, and IRC was very easily manageable. So that kind of depends on the person. If someone needs a little more close guidance, I would recommend do a little more calls, be closer to that person, so he or she can be know that you're there and you're gonna kind of guide a little more. But if the person is a little more independent and is working well on its own, you can just give me a quick update on email. Let's talk on IRC. Those like
Yeah.
15, 20 minutes, and it can work as well. Like that depends on the
Yeah, in my
students.
case, it was we didn't talk in person or via phone. We only talked via RSC and email. It helped because we were everyone in the project was Brazilian, so we could speak in Portuguese. And this is another barrier that we see in the community as well.
Sorry, new to community. What is the RC?
IRC.
Our RSC, we're gonna share later. We're gonna put on the screen later, so you can write it down. It's gonna be easier. Patience. Patience is like for everything, right? We need to be. When you're mentoring, sometimes you're gonna get someone who is experienced. That can happen, but you can get someone that's never worked with an open source project before.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have like a bigger learning curve.
Students, like for example.
Yeah. So.
And they are having they are learning to program and already doing a project.
Yeah.
So this can be one of these kind of situations, and you need to tell the difference and know how to handle both kind of mentees, etc.
Be participative. That's kind of what I said before. Like, be present. Try to talk to your mentee. Try to see how the project is going, and you're gonna be as participative as it is needed for that situation. But it's always important for the mentee to know that she or he has a contact point. She needs to know that somebody's there to help.
Yeah, be
when
available,
it's necessary.
Right? You need to respond.
Yeah.
You need to, like, you receive an email. You might not have time now. We are busy. But you can respond in an hour, tomorrow. But yeah, be available.
You need to be there for, because one of the hardest things in the beginning is having someone to talk to answer your questions without you feeling that you're being judged for that. Because when you feel that you're in a safe conversation, and that's a lot easier for the newcomers to open up and ask all the questions they need to ask. For example, it's hard for a newcomer to go on IRC or on OpenStack Keystone and ask, how do I do Git review? Because that's pretty basic for a lot of people, but not for the mentee because she's just starting. And then when you feel that she has someone to talk to directly that's not going to understands the situation and is going to respond accordingly, it's a lot easier for them to get the help and get it open and more open every time.
Exactly. It's also important that you are teaching someone. You are like guiding this person into becoming a new leader in the community, a new developer, whatever. So you need to know how to guide these people. It's not always by giving the right answer. It's not always by like, how do I do that? Like pasting the command, this person is gonna need to type it to make it work.
Yep.
It's more like guiding this person to finding the solution, guiding this person into thinking about the architecture, the design of what they are trying to do.
Yeah, we need to make new people come into the community. We need to have capable hands on the community. We don't want to be there to have to give the answer every time. So it's important from the beginning to let them know that they need to work for that knowledge. They're not going to be given right away to them. So it's very important. That's going to reflect on the future of OpenStack later. And if you are convinced that being a mentor is awesome, how do you start? Like, what are the options that you have to start being a mentor on OpenStack nowadays? So there are a lot of projects, a lot of opportunities for mentoring in OpenStack. There are two of them interesting. That's Outreachy and Google Summer of Code. They are different from the others because they're very structured and they have deadlines. There is a monetary compensation, which is always good for the mentee, and Google Summer of Code is for both, right? And it's an interesting. You have a deadline, you have a completion goal. It's very structured. I believe both of them are 3 months, and Outreachy is meant for minorities. So for LGBTs, women, so that's the idea, is to bring all these people into the computer science community. Google Summer of Code is meant for students, and it happens during the American summer. So that's a 3-month internship. There is mentoring in OpenStack, which is a more open project, more open proposal. There is no structure on this one. It's kind of a long-term mentoring, and it's up to the mentor and mentee to define a scope of the project, to define the time that they wanna, and define it's called the graduation goal. So the idea is, what does the mentee need to achieve? So we're not gonna be considering the mentee a mentee anymore. It's gonna be able to stand on its own. So it's up for the mentor and mentee to create that goal. So it doesn't have a deadline or time, and that's up for the mentor and mentee. It's kind of open. It's organized by OpenStack. It's very simple, and it's just to get in touch with someone, and you can enroll yourself on the OpenStack page. So it's a very easy program. There is no selection as in Outreachy and Google Summer of Code. So it's very easily, and it can be done by anyone.
Yeah, and for those who can attend the OpenStack Summit, there is the hackathons, the project onboarding sessions. There is also the speed mentoring with kind of a session as well.
Yeah.
And also the OpenStack Upstream Institute, which is not only in summits, but it also happens in OpenStack days. There are, like, if a newcomer, it's hard for you to attend OpenStack Summit, right? So this is kind of something that, in my opinion, can be improved. So we can have more people participating in this kind of stuff and join the community as well. So that's why we think that these offline programs, like the first ones, can be more important for us in the community. So now that we know that it's great to be a mentor, we know that there are plenty of opportunities to mentor people, why don't you have like a huge number of mentors in OpenStack? So we hear a lot of this. We hear lots of people telling some of these excuses. One of them is like, I don't have time, I'm very busy. But really, don't you have like 1 hour, 2 hours per week to mentor someone? Doesn't take too much. It's like, and even if you don't have this time per week, it can be like every 2 weeks, 2 hours, 1 hour. You can like mentor this person as well. Like for a month, you spend time with this person. Another month is another person, another mentor. So I think that this one you can't say to me. And there is also, I think this is more common, and I think happens a lot. Is like, I don't have enough experience. I don't think that I'm an expert. I can't mentor anyone. Like, I'm so new. I'm so young in the community. I don't know nothing. But like this imposter syndrome, you really don't know anything. I'm sure that if you're already contributing, you don't need to be a core or a PTL to contribute to OpenStack. And I don't think that's the case, right, Teles?
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes it happens with a lot of stuff. It happened to me right before I became Sahara PTL. And then we've gone through a shortage of people on Sahara. And I was asked to apply to become the PTL. I was like, okay, I'll do it. And then once I did, it came to me like, am I gonna be a good PTL? Do I know enough of Sahara to be a good PTL? And what I felt is, even though the beginning was a little bit overwhelming for sure, because it's a hard role, but we usually step up to the plate and we do our jobs. And that's the same thing with mentoring.
Exactly. Other community members will help you. For example, for Teles, the ex-PTL helped him, I believe.
Yeah.
And here you can, if you don't think that confident enough to be a mentor yourself, you can also co-mentor.
Yeah.
In the same case as when you don't have enough time to mentor anyone. So based on that, we listed the projects, we listed the programs. We know that it's possible to be a mentor. What kind of projects do we do usually? So for example, the first one is the project that I co-mentored with Raildo in the last Outreachy round. It was basically to add a new CI job into Keystone's gate. Keystone, as many of you know, uses LDAP as identity backend. And we didn't have a job that actually ran using LDAP as Keystone's backend. So after all of these years that this feature is upstream, we were able to add this in the last outreach round, which was great, right? And thanks to Leticia, which was our mentee, who did this awesome work.
Another example, fairly simple and very fun to do, we did in the last outreach cycle as well. And we added an option to import and export templates in Sahara. So Sahara uses templates for creating clusters, and so I'm not going to get into details, that's not the point. But we didn't have this option to import a template that we used before. So it's kind of, I had a lot of trouble doing work that I was doing that I had to set up a lot of Saharas. So I would be, every time that I set up a new Sahara, I would have to create a new template. And that takes time. That's not like, it's quick, but it takes time to keep doing the same thing over and over again. So we added this option to export and import templates on Sahara. It's something that's not too complicated. So you see, the idea, another project we did was refactoring the architecture of Sahara. We used to have a part of Sahara that was hard-coded. So we had like data sources, and there were a number of options of data sources in Sahara. And the Outreachy intern did a work that refactored that, turned into a plugin-based stuff. So now it's fairly easy to add a new data source on Sahara because it's not hard-coded anymore. It's a plugin. And so there are other options like documentation.
If you like to work with JavaScript and front-end, there is internships in Horizon and so forth.
Yeah,
I think
there is no limitation on the projects. You can do anything you want to do with an Outreachy or with an intern. It depends only on creating a proper scope of work. So you don't want to propose something that's going to be too much for someone who's new, but you want to propose something that is interesting, and it's going to make the person interested to work on that job. And the second example there, add import and export templates for Sahara, was done by Awana. She's here, and she's did a great job. And I think the time for outreach was only 3 months.
Yeah.
And we didn't get the whole code merged, but she's still working on it. She's still fighting every day with the small problems they're showing. But that's just at a win point, even though it didn't finish on the time proposed, but we got a new contributor to Sahara. So, and that was the main point of the mentoring. So getting good hands into the community.
And for example, although I'm core in Keystone, I'm not core in the QA projects, right? So this first one only involved patches into the QA projects, and I didn't have the +2 vote. And even though we got everything done.
Yeah.
So I think that these are the points that we wanted to cover. So right now we want to talk to you. Please share anything you want to share with us. If you want to be a mentor, if you don't want to be a mentor, if you want to be an intern, have questions, so forth.
Yep.
I have a question.
Yep.
So how do you see the contribution from the vendors? It's more on the coders or like, because I'm from the product management background, so I used to do coding but not much anymore. So looks like looking into my experience, I'm thinking like, how can I contribute to the community?
There is plenty of options, actually. Documentation is something that is really short right now.
Yep.
Like people from the docs team is desperate.
Looking for people
to help. There is like not on documentation, technical documentation, like how this feature works, how do I set up this, but also the how to contribute, how I do this more subjective stuff that people need help. It's eyes on as well.
We actually just saw a talk today about that, and they're working on they're working on upgrading the OpenStack.org page to make it more friendly for newcomers. And one of the things that they need is people to help them work on the newcomers contributors guide. So that's not a project-specific guide. It's more like an OpenStack generic contributor guide. And they're needing a lot of help on that. I think that's Mike Perez, the person who is responsible for that.
It's a great project to improve the landing page for new contributors in OpenStack.
Yep.
Anything else?
What's the persona of the perfect candidate as a mentee? I mean, would you recommend that it's someone that's actually spending some of their daytime work hours on this on OpenStack, or
Right. So.
do you find that could be people that don't even have to actually work on it during their paid hours?
Yeah, there is a difference in the programs, right? So some of them require that this person is working full time during the period, but we know that that's not the case. For example, our mentee in the last Outreachy round, she was a student, and she couldn't because of the period of the internship, she had classes during the internship, and I was fine. I asked permission for the committee from the program to authorize her to do this kind of work. It was fine. But I think it really depends on the project, the program, but everything is manageable, right?
And also it depends on that first contact that you're going to have with the mentee. So you can get a feel if the person is going to be complicated or not, if it's going to be able to do a lot of work on its own. So it varies a lot. For example, it was my last Outreachy intern. She hadn't even started computer science at school. So you could say she's not going to be able to do a lot of stuff there, but she did a lot of great stuff on the work. I was very impressed because, after the first time we talked and I saw that, she's going to be able to do it. It's going to be great. And even though she didn't have schooling or work experience or ever OpenStack experience, she did a great job because we kind of see that on the first time that we talked. And from the Outreachy, there's a selection process on Outreachy. It's not that as open as OpenStack mentoring. And I think the person from the committee came to me, is like, you're going to have a great time with her because she's going to be awesome. I was like, okay, that's going to be. So it depends a lot with the person and the program, because some programs require amount of time to do the job. But it's always manageable. You can always talk to people and try to arrange something.
Right. Anyone else?
I think it's important to tell as well that there are bad experiences with OpenStack, with mentoring. Rodrigo went through one of, and you can say it's better.
Some time ago, I tried to mentor someone. It didn't work well. This person didn't appear to meetings, didn't send any contributions, and stuff like that. It was unfortunate, a sad situation because we want people to come in the community. We want them to be great. We want them to grow in the project. But something, this kind of stuff happens, and it's okay. And you need to manage this kind of stuff. But yeah.
And you have to know it's not always. It could be the mentor's fault, but it's not always. It's not necessarily the mentor's fault that someone is not interested in the work.
Yeah,
if somebody can just be there, for example, as Outreachy and Google Summer of Code, there is a monetary payment for people who work on it. Some people can try to get in there just for the money and not actually do the work. And that happens, and you need to know that if you're trying to mentor, that could happen to you as well. It's not necessarily a reflection that you're not a good mentor. It could be just the mentee that was not fully interested in the work.
And there is one thing that I remember to talk, that is when we said that we need to guide the mentees, we forgot to say that sometimes the mentee is not needing technical guidance, but support. They are going through some problems. They are needing some kind of support in helping them going through this phase. And sometimes they are not going to do a great work in 1 month, but in the next month they are going to be awesome. So you need to be there. You need to give support. You need to make them grow.
Yeah. Understand the situation and improve it. Yeah.
I have experience in architecture, networking architecture, and OpenStack as an end user. And I was wondering if there is an opportunity or a need to contribute as a mentor in that aspect, or maybe the other way around, to be a mentee and contribute eventually in code and documentation.
For example, as a user, I'm sure that you have lots of ideas how to improve the project, right? So one thing that you can do is like mentor someone yourself. You can ask someone in the community, I have this idea. Do you want to mentor someone with me? Like I give the requirements and you give the how to do knowledge in the code. It's possible. Like
you could split, like you could mentor on the architecture part and the career or kind of organization of the project, and then someone could do the technical part. So how do you get that knowledge and you actually put it in code and put it on OpenStack? You can always try to get someone to help you out with that. And if you want to get more knowledge on the code yourself, you could apply as a mentee as well, and then you're gonna be able to do the whole thing yourself. That's up to you, the way that you wanna direct yourself into OpenStack.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So please, let's connect. If you have questions, if you want to talk to us offline, we are here. Here are our RC handles and GitHubs, emails. Twitter, all kinds of stuff you can reach us out.
Feel free to talk to us, and we're always trying to make OpenStack grow and make it better. So if you guys have ideas, need to talk to someone, we're here. So feel free to reach us. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.